I never thought betrayal could come from both the man I loved and the sister I grew up protecting. But here I am, staring at my phone, rereading the wedding photos that shattered my entire world. My husband, the man I built my dreams around, was standing at the altar, smiling, holding hands with my younger sister. And the worst part? I had no idea until that moment. It all began 3 years ago. My husband, Daniel, was everything I'd ever prayed for. Charming, kind, and endlessly supportive. We met at a charity event, and from the first moment he spoke to me, I felt seen, like he looked straight into my soul. I was cautious at first, but Daniel had this warmth that melted every wall I'd built. A year later, we got married in a small ceremony surrounded by family, including my sister, Lily. She was my maid of honor, beaming as she hugged me at the altar, whispering, "You deserve all the happiness in the world, sis." But if I had known what she truly meant, I would have run from that wedding instead of walking down the aisle. Lily had always been the golden girl, prettier, bolder, and loved by everyone. Growing up, I often found myself cleaning up her messes, covering for her when she snuck out or got into trouble. I thought I was being a good sister. I thought protecting her was my role. But maybe I was just enabling her selfishness all along. The first year of my marriage was perfect. Daniel and I moved into a cozy house on the outskirts of town. He'd leave me sweet notes in the kitchen, cook dinner when I was too tired, and call me his peace. But somewhere along the line, that peace began to fade. He started working late, claiming he was under pressure. He'd come home smelling of perfume I didn't own, with excuses that never quite added up. I wanted to trust him. God, I really did. I even blamed myself for being too paranoid. Then Lily started visiting more often. At first, I was happy about it. She said she wanted to spend more time with me since she'd broken up with her boyfriend. She'd bring Daniel little gifts, laugh at all his jokes, and even stayed over a few times because she didn't want to be alone. I thought nothing of it. Family is family, right? But then, little things began to feel off. One night, I walked into the living room and saw her wearing one of my shirts, one Daniel had bought me for our anniversary. They were sitting close on the couch, laughing softly, the air thick with something unspoken. When I walked in, they both jumped apart like guilty kids caught stealing candy. I brushed it off with an awkward laugh, but inside, something twisted. A few weeks later, I noticed Daniel's phone lighting up constantly. Whenever I tried to check, he'd snatch it away, joking that some privacy is healthy in a marriage. But one night, while he was in the shower, I finally gave in to curiosity. My hands trembled as I opened his messages, and what I found made my world stop. There it was, message after message from Lily, my sister. "Can't wait to see you again," she wrote. "I miss you already." His reply made bile rise in my throat. "Soon, my love." I scrolled further, my vision blurring. Pictures, hotel room selfies, words like forever and our future. I remember dropping the phone. My heart was pounding so loudly I couldn't hear anything else. The man I shared my life with and the sister I'd trusted more than anyone, together, behind my back. I confronted Daniel that night, shaking with rage and heartbreak. At first, he denied it. Then, when I showed him the messages, his face went pale. He didn't even try to lie again. He just said, "I didn't mean for this to happen." Those words echoed in my head for weeks. Didn't mean for this to happen, as if love was some kind of accident. I packed my things that night and left, moving into a small apartment across town. Lily blocked me on everything. My parents told me she needed time to process things. I laughed bitterly. She needed time? I was the one left with the ashes of my marriage. Months passed. I tried to rebuild myself piece by piece. I got therapy, found a new job, and started painting again. Something Daniel always said was a waste of time. Slowly, I was learning to breathe without pain, until one afternoon I got a message from an unknown number. It was a picture. Lily, in a wedding dress, holding Daniel's hand. My heart stopped. Beneath the photo was a short message. "We thought you should know. We're married now." I remember dropping my phone, tears blurring my vision. The room spun. My sister had actually married the man who betrayed me. I didn't think the pain could get any deeper, but I was wrong, because a year later, she came crying to my door. It was a rainy night when I heard the knocking. I opened the door, and there she was, Lily, drenched, her mascara running, clutching her stomach like she was in pain. Her first words sent chills through my spine. "He's cheating on me," she sobbed. "Daniel's cheating on me." For a moment, I couldn't even process it. My mind went blank. My breath caught between disbelief and a strange, cruel satisfaction. The same man who broke me had broken her too. But as I stared at her trembling figure, something inside me whispered, "This isn't just karma. It's only the beginning." And I was right, because what came next would reveal secrets far darker than I ever imagined, secrets that made betrayal look like mercy. I stood there frozen, watching Lily shiver under the rain, her once perfect hair clinging to her pale face. Her eyes were swollen, her lips trembling, and for the first time in my life, I saw my sister stripped of all her pride. The same sister who once mocked me for being too emotional was now on her knees, begging to be let inside. I should have slammed the door. I should have walked away. But something inside me, maybe the part that still remembered how I used to tuck her into bed when we were kids, couldn't. I stepped aside silently and let her in. She collapsed on my couch, sobbing uncontrollably. I stood across from her, arms folded, trying to keep the walls around my heart from crumbling. "You said Daniel's cheating on you," I finally said, my voice cold, distant. "With who?" Her eyes darted up to mine, full of shame and fear. "I don't know," she whispered. "At first I thought it was just my paranoia, but then I found the messages, the same way you did." She let out a bitter laugh that dissolved into a sob. "History repeating itself, huh?" I stared at her, torn between anger and a strange pity. "Did you really think marrying him would change anything?" I asked quietly. "You took my husband, Lily. What did you expect?" She looked at me with glassy eyes. "I know I deserve this," she said, her voice breaking, "but I swear I thought he loved me. He said you were cold, distant, that your marriage was already over before you even what?" I snapped, my voice rising. "Before you decided to destroy your own sister's life?" She flinched, wiping her tears. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "You'll never believe how sorry I am." I turned away, gripping the edge of the counter until my knuckles went white. I wanted to scream, to throw something to make her feel even a fraction of what she'd made me feel, but instead I took a deep breath. "So why are you here, Lily?" She hesitated. "Because I think he's dangerous." Those words stopped me cold. "Dangerous?" I repeated slowly. "What are you talking about?" She looked around nervously as if expecting Daniel to burst through the door. "After we got married, things changed," she whispered. "He became controlling. He started isolating me, from friends, from our parents. He made me delete my social media. He said he was protecting me, but I think he's hiding something." I frowned. What kind of something? Her eyes filled with tears again. "I found another phone," she said, her voice trembling, "hidden in his drawer. It had messages with someone named Catherine, and there were pictures, money transfers, strange documents. He's been doing something illegal, I think." My heart pounded in my chest. "Illegal? Like what?" She shook her head. "I don't know, but he's been meeting someone late at night. When I confronted him, he got angry. Angrier than I've ever seen him. He told me to mind my own business and slammed the door. I got scared and left. I've been staying in my car for 2 nights." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. The man who once brought me flowers every Friday was now threatening my sister, hiding money, and possibly cheating again. A storm of emotions swirled inside me: hate, pity, curiosity, and something darker: a thirst for the truth. "Where's the phone now?" I asked. "I have it," she said, fumbling through her bag and pulling out a cracked iPhone. She handed it to me with trembling hands. "I couldn't unlock it. It has a password." I took the phone and stared at it, feeling a strange surge of adrenaline. "We'll figure it out," I said. "You can stay here for tonight, but Lily—" I looked her dead in the eyes. "Don't expect forgiveness." She nodded, tears silently streaming down her face. That night, after she fell asleep on my couch, I sat in the dark living room, staring at Daniel's secret phone. I don't know what possessed me, but I kept trying different passcodes. Our anniversary date, his birthday, even Lily's. Nothing worked. Until finally, out of instinct, I entered my birthday. The screen lit up. It unlocked. My blood ran cold. Why would Daniel use my birthday, mine, as the passcode for a phone his new wife wasn't supposed to know about? I opened the Messages app, and what I found inside made my stomach drop. There were hundreds of messages between Daniel and someone saved as C. The conversations were cryptic. Talk of transfers, or clients, deliveries. But what chilled me most were the photos. There were pictures of women. Dozens of them. Some looked scared, others looked unconscious. In every photo, Daniel's face was half hidden. But it was him. No doubt about it. My hands started shaking uncontrollably. What had he gotten himself into? What had my sister married? The next morning, I woke Lily up and showed her everything. She gasped, covering her mouth. Oh my God, what is this?" "I don't know," I said, "but we need to find out. And we need to be careful. He can't know you came to me." Lily nodded, terrified. We decided to go to the police later that day, but fate had other plans. Because just as we were about to leave, there was a knock at my door, a slow, heavy knock. I looked at Lily, and her face drained of color. When I opened the door, Daniel was standing there, soaking wet from the rain, smiling like nothing had ever happened. "Hey, beautiful," he said, his voice calm, almost playful. "Mind if I come in?" Lily let out a small, strangled sound behind me. Daniel's eyes flicked to her, then back to me, his smile fading just slightly. "Well," he said softly, "isn't this familiar?" For a moment, none of us spoke. The air between us was thick with tension, the kind that makes your heart feel like it's trying to crawl out of your chest. Daniel's smile didn't reach his eyes, and that was what terrified me most. His eyes, those same blue eyes that once looked at me with love, were now cold, sharp, calculating. Lily stepped back, clutching the hem of her sleeve like a frightened child. "Daniel, what are you doing here?" she asked in a voice barely above a whisper. He tilted his head, pretending to think. "What am I doing here?" he repeated softly, stepping inside without waiting for an answer. "Well, my wife disappeared 2 days ago, didn't answer her phone, didn't come home. So imagine my surprise when I followed her location and found her here, at my ex-wife's apartment." He chuckled darkly. "Small world, huh?" I swallowed hard, trying to keep my voice steady. "You need to leave, Daniel. She doesn't want to see you." He turned his gaze to me, his expression unreadable. "And what about you, sweetheart?" he said. "Do you want to see me?" The way he said it made my stomach twist. "Don't call me that," I snapped. His jaw tightened, and for a moment something dangerous flickered behind his calm demeanor. "Fine," he said. "Then maybe we can skip the pleasantries. You've been through my phone, haven't you?" My breath caught. "What?" He smirked. "You think I wouldn't notice when someone logs in from another IP address? You were always clever, but not clever enough." Lily gasped and looked at me in panic. "You tracked your own wife?" she whispered. Daniel ignored her completely. "You saw things you shouldn't have," he said, stepping closer, "and now you've got both of us in danger." Danger from who? I demanded, though my voice trembled. He smiled, a slow, chilling smile. From the people I work for. Lily stumbled back, hitting the wall. "What are you talking about, Daniel?" she cried. "What have you done?" He sighed, running a hand through his hair. "It's not what you think. I was helping some people move money offshore. No big deal. Until someone got greedy. Now they think I took something that doesn't belong to me. And if they find out you've seen those files..." His eyes met mine, deadly serious. "You'll both be in danger, too." I felt dizzy. "So what are you saying? That this is our fault?" He stepped closer, his voice dropping. "I'm saying you both need to stay quiet. Delete everything you saw. Forget all of this ever happened." Lily shook her head in disbelief. "You ruined both of our lives, and now you're trying to scare us into protecting you?" His face darkened. "You think this is about you?" he hissed. "I'm trying to save you." The tension exploded like a thunderclap. I moved a step between them, but before I could, Daniel grabbed Lily's arm, hard. She yelped in pain. Instinct took over, and I shouted, "Let her go!" I pushed him back with all my strength. He stumbled, then turned to me slowly, his eyes burning with fury. "You've made a big mistake, both of you." Then he walked out, slamming the door behind him. For a long time, the only sound was Lily's sobbing. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely breathe. "We need to go to the police," I said finally. "Now." But when we arrived at the station, things took a darker turn. The officer listened to everything, the cheating, the phone, the threats, and then asked for the device. I handed it over, expecting them to take it seriously. But within minutes, the officer's expression changed. He frowned at the screen, then looked up. "This phone's been reported stolen," he said. My stomach dropped. "That's impossible," I said. "It was Daniel's." He shook his head. "No, ma'am. The serial number belongs to a missing person, a woman named Catherine Moss." Lily and I looked at each other, both speechless. "Catherine," I whispered. That was the name from the messages. The officer nodded grimly. "We've been investigating her disappearance for months, and if your husband's involved..." He didn't finish the sentence, but the implication hit hard. Daniel wasn't just cheating. He was involved with a missing woman, possibly worse. That night, I barely slept. Every sound outside my window made my heart race. Lily lay awake on the couch, staring blankly at the ceiling. Around 3 a.m., I got up to get some water, and that's when I saw the message on my phone. It was from an unknown number, just one line. "You shouldn't have gone to the police." I froze. My phone slipped from my hands and hit the floor. I woke Lily immediately, showing her the message. Her face turned white. "It's him," she whispered. "He's watching us." The next day, I called the police again. But before I could explain, they told me something that made my blood run cold. Daniel had vanished. His car was found abandoned by the docks, his phone switched off. No trace of him anywhere. For a week, everything was chaos. The police questioned both Lily and me endlessly. We were terrified, barely eating or sleeping. But just when I thought things couldn't get any worse, they did. One evening, I came home from work and found Lily gone. Her bag, her phone, everything left behind. The front door was wide open, and on my kitchen counter there was a single envelope, my name written on it in Daniel's handwriting. Inside was a photo. Lily, tied to a chair, eyes wide with terror, and beneath it, a note in his familiar scrawl, "You should have stayed out of it, love. Now it's your turn to choose. Her life or yours." My entire body went cold. My hands shook so hard the paper nearly tore in half. That was the moment I knew Daniel wasn't the man I once loved. He wasn't even the man who betrayed me. He was something far worse. I stood there, paralyzed, staring at that photo like it might dissolve if I blinked too hard. Lily's terrified face was burned into my brain. her eyes pleading, her mouth taped shut, her wrists bound with what looked like duct tape. Behind her, I could make out a grimy wall, maybe a basement or warehouse. My heart thudded in my chest so hard it felt like I might pass out. The man I once promised to love was now threatening to kill my sister, the same sister who betrayed me but was still somehow a part of me. I didn't even realize I was screaming until my neighbor burst through the door, asking what was wrong. I shoved the photo and letter into my bag, unable to speak. All I could manage was, "Call the police. Tell them it's Daniel." Then I ran. I didn't know where I was going, but my instincts led me to the docks, the last place they'd found his car. The sky was heavy and gray, and the air smelled of salt and rain. I called out for Lily until my voice cracked, my shoes slipping on the wet ground. Every shadow made me jump. My mind was racing. If Daniel was watching, he could see me right now. And then I saw it. A flicker of movement near one of the old storage sheds. I moved closer, every step slow, deliberate. The metal door was slightly open, creaking softly in the wind. I pushed it open and froze. There she was, Lily, tied to a chair, just like in the photo. Her head jerked up, eyes wide with relief and fear. "He's here," she whispered hoarsely. "He's still here." Before I could react, I felt it. A hand grabbing my arm, pulling me backward. I hit the ground hard, gasping for air. Daniel stood over me, his face shadowed but unmistakable. His once perfect hair was disheveled, his clothes damp and wrinkled, his eyes wild. "I told you to stay out of it," he said, his voice low and shaking. "You couldn't just let it go, could you?" "Let it go," I spat, struggling to get up. "You kidnapped my sister. You ruined everything." He laughed, a hollow, broken sound. "Ruined? No, sweetheart. I was fixing things. You never understood what I was doing for us, for our future." I stared at him in disbelief. "For us? You married my sister, Daniel. You destroyed our future the day you betrayed me." Something snapped in his expression. His smile vanished. "She was a mistake," he muttered. "I thought I loved her, but she's weak, like you. Always crying, always needing something." "Then what do you want?" I demanded, my voice trembling. He stepped closer, his face inches from mine. "I want you back," he whispered. "The way things were before. Just you and me. We can leave all this behind. The lies, the police, everything." For a moment, I just stared at him, unable to comprehend the insanity of his words. Then slowly I said, "Untie her." He frowned. "What?" "Untie my sister," I said, my voice steady now. "Do that and I'll go with you." Lily's muffled cry of protest filled the air. I gave her a look, a silent promise that I had a plan. Daniel hesitated, then finally nodded. He pulled the tape from her mouth and started cutting the ropes around her wrists. The moment her hands were free, I made my move. I lunged for the nearby crate where I'd noticed a metal rod leaning. Grabbing it, I swung with every ounce of strength I had. The rod connected with his shoulder, sending him stumbling back with a yell of pain. "Run!" I screamed at Lily. We bolted for the door, but Daniel recovered faster than I expected. He tackled me from behind, dragging me to the ground. His hands clamped around my neck. I gasped, clawing at him, seeing stars. "You think you can leave me?" he growled. "You'll never!" Before he could finish, a deafening sound cut through the air. A gunshot. Daniel's grip loosened. He froze, then slumped to the side. I turned to see Lily standing behind him, shaking, the officer from earlier beside her. Gun still raised. Daniel hit the floor, groaning. The officer quickly handcuffed him, reading him his rights as backup arrived. I sat there in shock, coughing and trembling, as the reality of it all began to sink in. It was over, or so I thought. 2 days later, the police confirmed everything. Daniel had been running an illegal trafficking ring with Catherine Moss, the missing woman. When she tried to expose him, she disappeared. Her phone ended up in his possession, the same one Lily had found. He'd been planning to flee the country, and when Lily found out, He panicked. They found evidence in that same dock warehouse, Catherine's necklace, her ID, and photos linking Daniel to multiple crimes. He was charged with kidnapping, assault, and suspected homicide. The media called him the charming predator. But the story didn't end there. A month later, I got a letter. No return address, but I knew that handwriting. It was Daniel's. The letter was short, almost eerily calm. "You can't escape me, love. You think it's over, but some things never die. You and I were forever." I tore the letter to shreds and threw it into the fire, watching the paper curl into ashes. But even as the flames swallowed his words, I couldn't shake the chill that ran through me. Because I knew, deep down, he was right about one thing. I would never completely escape what he'd done, what we had been. Lily and I barely spoke after that. She moved to another city, trying to rebuild her life while I stayed behind, haunted by the memories. People called me strong for surviving, but strength felt hollow when all it cost was trust, love, and family. Sometimes, late at night, I still hear that knock on my door, the slow, heavy one that started it all, and I wonder, if I opened it, would he be standing there again, smiling like he never left? But I've learned something through all of this. Something no heartbreak, no betrayal, no pain could ever take away. That forgiveness isn't about letting them back in. It's about closing the door for good. And I did.